Hello everyone and welcome to Zuck TV, and this is my reaction to the Champions League draw that just happened. Now it's the second year that UEFA has done this new Champions League format where instead of groups of 4 teams, it's now just a schedule of 8 different games for a single team that involves the pots and all the math. I'm not going to explain it because they do for 25 minutes in the draw. So in this video I just want to go over a couple of things that I noticed when it comes down to the results of this draw. That being the top 9 teams in pot 1, how did their schedules fare, which teams had the toughest, and even maybe some minor underdogs that we might see actually show up and do pretty well. And of course, being a Bayern Munich supporter, I wanted to let you guys know but what I think about their draw and how I actually think they will fare. So first off, I'm going to start with the top teams who might have been drawn the toughest opponents that they could have in this tournament. Now obviously these 4 teams that I've picked might not be in tough at all. They obviously might just absolutely demolish all these teams, but I just thought that the teams that they were drawn with, they might give them a little bit of an issue. So this is my list. It's Real Madrid, Bayern, Dortmund, and Chelsea. Now a lot of Real Madrid fans might be watching this right now and going, what? You really think we're in tough? I don't believe so, but I just thought that, being drawn with Man City, Liverpool, and Juventus kind of seems like they're back up on the rise again. I felt like those 3 teams that they were drawn against might actually give them a little bit of a problem. Next is Bayern Munich. Obviously, I'm going to give more reaction to who they were drawn with soon, but Chelsea, PSG, and Arsenal, those 3 teams together, obviously Chelsea winning the Club World Cup, some people might react to that differently, but obviously the Champions League winners from last year, PSG, and Arsenal, who have always kind of been there. Again, I'm going to get to that point later with Bayern's schedule. Next is Bayern's rival, Dortmund, Inter, City, Man City, that being, and Villarreal. Now, Villarreal is not a team that's, a top club in the world. They're not top 10 in the world, but they're a tough team. And a lot of teams have found out the hard way that Villarreal is not no pushover. They will try and push you over. So that's why I kind of put them in Dortmund's list, because I believe they might actually give Dortmund, especially this year, maybe a bit of a challenge. And the final team on this list is Chelsea. And Chelsea has actually been drawn quite a tough one, to be honest. And I've picked the 3 teams being Barcelona, Bayern, and Napoli. Now, Napoli's a pot 3 team, but they've also won Serie A last year. And they seem to be on a good push going forward. So I think that Napoli might give them a bit of trouble. But also when you look at the rest of their pot, they've also been drawn Benfica, Atalanta, Ajax. It's their entire schedule is top teams, in other leagues almost, besides the pot 4 teams, to be honest. So Chelsea has a good 6 games of the 8 that might be a bit tough. Now to my underdogs. Now, underdogs can mean a few things. It can mean, for one, a horrendous team that just went on an absolute superb run, or the way that I've kind of put it here today is kind of like a team that you're probably not expecting to win or go far, but I think just based on who they were drawn with, they might have a chance, kind of looking at Aston Villa from last year. Now last year, I don't think many people expected them to do well at all, but they ended up, beating Bayern Munich for one. Yes, they were at home, but they beat a top team in Europe, and they actually did very well in the group stage. So these are some of those teams that kind of might be Aston Villa-esque. Now, these are my 4 teams that I've picked. Now, obviously, I just put kind of the 2 to 3 teams that I think are the toughest that they've been drawn with, and most of them are really just the pot 1 teams. But starting off, I picked Napoli. Napoli has Chelsea and Man City as their pot 1 teams. But the others, I could kind of see them as Serie A champions, kind of beating everyone else, or at least drawing against everyone else. I can't really see them possibly losing a game here or there. So that's why I kind of think that they're in the mix. Now next, I've also mentioned them, Villarreal. Now, like I said earlier, they've always kind of been a thorn in the side for a couple teams here and there. And they've been drawn Man City and Dortmund. Now, personally, to me as a Bayern fan, I would probably say Villarreal might be able to take Dortmund. Most of the other teams that they've been drawn with, they could actually probably do a bit of damage. Next is PSV. They've been drawn Bayern and Liverpool in pot 1. I've also put Napoli on this list because they're one of my underdogs. Mostly everyone else that they've been kind of drawn with, isn't as super strong. They've also been drawn Atletico Madrid, but they've kind of had a horrendous start to the year. So who knows? By the time they play them, we don't know the schedule yet, but by the time they play them, who knows? It might be a different story. And finally, I might get some slack from this, to be honest. Tottenham's top teams that they were drawn with is Dortmund and PSG. Villarreal is also in there, but in my opinion, everyone else that they have, the other 5 teams in their schedule, they could probably beat pretty easily. In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham actually does quite well in the Champions League. And I know there's a lot of people that probably don't want that, especially if you're from England or a fan of the English Premier League. But I think just based on Tottenham's schedule, they might have one of the easiest from one of the more upsided teams in this tournament. So like I said off the top, I also want to share my thoughts on how Bayern Munich did in the draw and who they are going to be playing against, and also my thoughts on maybe what might happen in that match. Now, starting with the pot 1 opponents, Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, we don't know when these games are going to be happening yet. Between those two teams, I can't see Bayern getting a win out of Chelsea and out of Paris Saint-Germain for sure. I don't think Paris Saint-Germain, being the title holders of the Champions League, I don't think Bayern will be able to get the win against them, so I'm kind of handing them the L there. Chelsea, I feel like that's just a draw. I feel like a draw, a good like 1-1 draw. Club Brugge and Arsenal in pot 2. The Arsenal game being away, I'm sorry, but the way Bayern Munich is going right now, I know they won their first game big, but they just barely came out of a cup match against a third-tier team. I'm honestly saying they're going to lose to Arsenal. I think they will. This isn't the 5-1 Arsenal anymore. Arsenal's a completely different story now, and I think there's a bit of a shift in that. But I think Club Brugge, I think they can beat Club Brugge pretty fair and square. And going to the pot 3 teams, Sporting, PSV, these could kind of, I don't know if they can go either way. I think for Bayern, it's either a draw or a win between these two teams. I don't expect anything crazy, like a loss, but nothing less than a draw, that's for sure. And then finally, Union SG and Paphos. If they don't win those 2 games, that would be a disaster within the fan base. I'm going to say don't expect them to lose those games at all. So in my opinion, I think Bayern will win at least 4 of those matches. They could probably even get up, I think, to 5 or 6. I don't think they'll go perfect. I think the top opponents that they're playing are just better than them, to be honest, or even at least. So to get a perfect record or 7 wins, I think I'd find crazy. If it did happen, fantastic. That'd be nuts. But I don't think that will happen. So there you have it, everyone. That's my reaction to the Champions League draw that happened earlier today. I believe the schedule is supposed to come out on Saturday, so we'll see who plays who and when. My plan is to do match day predictions before every single match day. So if you want to get in on that, subscribe to the channel. And also leave a comment down below of what you think about the draw and maybe how your team did. Let me know. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Like I mentioned, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below, and as well as click the like button. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Peace.